Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know we're talking a lot about walls today, and I definitely have some comments and questions about the border wall, but I just want to restate a few facts for the record. First, just as a reminder, and for this subcommittee and for a greater committee, when all the kind of cheering went about, folks trying to really, I think, encourage chaos during the end of Title 42, I just want to really note that there was no chaos happening. The administration has actually done a fairly good job of this transition. I also want to confirm that Border Patrol chiefs have confirmed for Congress that the present situation is actually manageable. We've heard this time and time again. They have said, in many of their own words, there is no crisis at the border. DHS has never been given any kind of stand-down order as well, as has been stated by some in the majority. We have a shared mission of a secure and orderly border. Third thing I want to say is that the Democrats have been saying for years legal pathways have been critical to providing order at the border, especially after Title 42. And I just also want to note that Donald Trump's border wall has always been, in I think my opinion and many others, an anti-American monument and not a real solution to actually any of our issues at the border. Now, we know, as has been stated by our ranking member and others, walls can be climbed, they can be jumped, they don't meaningfully disrupt the flow of fentanyl in this country. We know that fentanyl is coming in from legal ports of entry. And while walls can't solve our problems, they actually do create serious concerns in many cases, and I want to bring up one in particular. I want to raise a case that's been deeply troubling back in California, certainly to me and many of my colleagues. Recently, the San Diego Union Tribune reported a nearly week-long incident in which approximately 150 asylum seekers were trapped between the layers of border wall near the San Ysidro port of entry adjacent to San Diego. Now, according to eyewitness reports from the Union Tribune, a reporter on the ground, that migrants tried to leave, but Border Patrol herded them back into spaces between the fences, and migrants at the time believed that they were in custody. Now, CBP detention standards require people in custody must be supplied with basic hygiene items, food at regular intervals, and that water must always be available. But migrants did not receive any of these things, and in fact, it was just one plastic water cooler for around 150 people between these two fences. Now, this does not appear to be an isolated incident. My office and other offices have received reports that migrants are frequently stranded between border walls for extended periods of time, and many of course, are suffering from hunger and dehydration. An article in the New York Times confirmed that this situation is actually played out in other sectors of the border as well. To the committee and to our chairman, to our witnesses, now I wrote the Border Patrol to ask what policies guided Border Patrol response in situations when migrants may be trapped in portions of the wall, and we received a reply just last week. Border Patrol told me and my colleagues, and I quote, "The individuals in question had not made contact with U.S. Border Patrol and were not constrained from further movement." This is actually from the letter. But now I want to show you actually a photograph, and you can see for yourself, absolutely there is contact being made. And the San Diego Union Tribune, the editorial board themselves, said that Border Patrol claims that the incident was a collective hallucination, and that this was absolutely not the case. And so I hope that there is a better communication from Border Patrol to members of this committee on exactly what happened and what is continuing to happen along this incident. CBP's response does not even touch on the questions we raised about the conditions, guidance, and protocols that exist in this situation and others. Now, Ms. Cooper, as a leader within CBP and certainly someone that's involved, I know that you necessarily don't oversee this exact sector, but I'd like to ask you to please take these concerns back to your leadership and CBP leadership. We've been given no adequate response so far. Is that something that you'd be willing to do?
Thank you for the opportunity to respond, Congressman. I can assure you that our U.S. Border Patrol agents take the safety and security of those who come into our custody with great seriousness, and I'm happy to take that question back.
Thank you, because right now, Border Patrol leadership is telling us that they're not interacting with these migrants, but there are reporters on the ground that are reporting that this is actually happening, so it's actually of grave concern. I just want to just close. You know, this is an incredible country. I to have migrated here myself as a young child. This is a country that does not leave women and children in the desert without food, without water. We have to do better as a country. Certainly as we discuss things like walls, we should also understand what the impacts are to people that are trying to seek asylum that is actually legal in our country. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.